Hello, David Pakman audience. It is me, Keith Edwards, for the final time. I just want to say real quick, thank you so much for letting me join you these past few days. It's been a joy to be able to bring you the news, and we do have a lot of news to go through today. First, Sean Duffy, our transportation secretary, the biggest downgrade in history from Pete Buttigieg, had an embarrassing video leak. Just as our infrastructure is crumbling, Marco Rubio similarly has a very telling video that came out that completely humiliates him and makes him look like a hypocrite versus what he was saying just a few years ago versus today and what he believes with the now Trump administration. And Donald Trump's press secretary could not answer the simplest of questions. I've got all that and much more coming right up. And I am Keith Edwards from The Keith Edwards Show. Please do check me out if you like this reporting. But first off, here is a video that came out from Sean Duffy, unearthed moments ago from the real world. This is who is leading us. And as this video came out, wouldn't you know it, our infrastructure has been crumbling. The transportation we rely on has been failing us. And of course, I'm sure you know of the DC flight that tragically collided with a helicopter. But just moments ago, there was a train that caught fire. More on that right now.
Developing news tonight. A SEPTA train suddenly erupts into flames during the busy evening rush in Delaware County. Hundreds of passengers forced to evacuate as emergency crews arrived on the scene near the Crumlin station. The cause of the fire still under investigation tonight.
Rick, SEPTA says it was a rush hour train, so it was fully packed, but thankfully there are no reported injuries at this time. And you just missed it. Crews towed that damaged train out of here to evaluate it. And now SEPTA is trying to determine how the fire started, but they say people were alerted by the smell of smoke.
Kind of smell like this weird, kind of smoky, like a sulfury kind of smell. And I kind of just thought it was like the train normal stuff, because it always kind of smells sulfury. But yeah, it was getting really strong, especially as we got to Crumlin.
I started to smell it too after a little while. I think we got about 2 stations down from here, and then people were really starting to notice it. People were looking out the windows, getting a little, starting to panic a little bit.
Now, as reported, there were no fatalities, thankfully not even any injuries. So we are lucky for that. But this is by far the only incident. Of course, you do know of the DC crash that happened, but there were similarly in Seattle, 2 planes collided with each other. As you can see here, the wing of a plane and the tail of a plane hitting each other while they were taxiing at the airport. And just last night, an Alaska plane went missing with 10 on board. Alaska missing plane latest, Bering Air jet with 10 on board, vanished midair, sparking search for survivors. And I'm not sure why these things are all happening. All I'm saying is it didn't happen under Biden or Pete Buttigieg. That is a fact. There were no plane crashes under Pete Buttigieg, no passenger plane crashes. So if they want to blame DEI for our failing government, they have to put up or shut up, because right now, as one Twitter user said, it is DEI or die. It's time to choose. This never happened under DEI. But that's not stopping Sean Duffy from saying this.
When you go back to the DEI policies, and we didn't really, the word woke was not a big part of the vernacular, even in Donald Trump's first term. But when they put in DEI policies that would allow the hiring at the FAA of people with intellectual and psychiatric disabilities, and I read that, that was shock and awe to me. What was your reaction?
Well, Sean, I want to look at what was the focus of the department, right? The main focus, back to the history, was safety. The problem is they were focusing on, as you mentioned, the environment, EVs, changing language for social justice. They want to be politically correct. And when you don't focus on your systems and your safety, bad things happen. And so
it's just really funny to me that he is saying that we weren't focused on systems and safety, but we were never safer when it came to our transportation. And if he is focused on systems and safety, I have to ask myself, why is he getting into Twitter wars with Secretary Clinton. He said, big news, talk to the Doge team. They're going to plug in to help upgrade our aviation system. Terrifying. Hillary Clinton said, they have no relevant experience. Most of them aren't old enough to rent a car, and you're going to let them mess with airline safety that's already deteriorated on your watch. He said, Madam Secretary, with all due respect, experienced Washington bureaucrats are the reasons our nation's infrastructure is crumbling. You need to sit this one out. Really respectful. And then Hillary Clinton, not one to let up, said U.S. airlines had gone 16 years without fatal crashes, 16 years. Then MAGA fired the FAA chief, gutted the Aviation Security Advisory Committee, and threatened air traffic controllers with layoffs. Now there have been 2 fatal crashes. Hope your unvetted 22-year-olds will fix things fast. Dang, I know for a fact, just so you know, she writes her own tweets. That's why they're good. More politicians should write their tweets. And then Sean Duffy wrote a huge wall of text that I refuse to read because it's just propaganda. And while this is all happening, I have to wonder that this unearthed video might explain more about why we're in this situation than anything else. Because Sean Duffy, like our current president, is a former reality TV star. And this embarrassing video just resurfaced. It has millions of views. And I think it gives some insight into the personality and the stability of the person leading our transportation. Here it is.
Another juicy secret about the real world is Sean's not a lumberjack. He's a Chippendale dancer.
I need more light, dog. Montana, give me some light. Get my boy putting in reaction of the crowd.
So yeah, I mean, imagine if Pete Buttigieg had a very similar video come out. The right would go nuts. The right would go nuts. And as this Twitter user said, he was holding it all together. I think it's one of those things where you just don't realize what you have until it's gone. We have buffoons leading our government. They're not even leading it. They're trying to dismantle it before our very eyes. There's a lot wrong with our government. I will be the first to say that and criticize it. But it's also the only thing keeping us safe from corporations who want to do as little as possible to make as much money as possible. So it's important we have regulation. It's important we have smart, talented people working in the government. And whatever Sean Duffy is, a transportation secretary, he is not.
Guys in my audience, I know you're tired of the chafing with traditional underwear. Our sponsor, Sheath, makes the most comfortable boxer briefs I've ever worn. If you're sick of the boxers that are too loose or the briefs that are too tight, Sheath is for you. Sheath underwear is designed with 2 special pouches in the front. Keeps everything separate in its own compartment with extra confidence that you will feel throughout the day, keeping things separate and comfortable, no more sticking and chafing. I was skeptical about the dual pouch, I admit it, but it is game-changing. Everything stays where it is supposed to be, extra useful when working out at the gym, and even if you don't want to use the pouches, you don't have to. It is still the most comfortable pair of underwear I have ever owned. It will blow your mind how soft and stretchy these are, made with moisture-wicking technology to keep you dry. If you were ready to take underwear comfort to a new place, a place you didn't even know it could go, head over to sheathunderwear.com/Pacman and get 20% off with the code Pacman. The link is in the description.